I'm gonna tell you about the epic story of a hero, a story of 5,000 years old. It's from Sumer. It's called the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was a god, but he was a human as well. 2/3 god, 1/3 human. And he ruled the city-state of Erech. Well, Erech liked the fact that they had a semi-god as a ruler, but on the other hand, he was hard to deal with, this guy. When he saw another guy, when he saw another man, he wanted to fight with him. And when he saw another woman, and he liked her and found her attractive, he wanted to do the naughty thing. And so the people of the city-state were sighing, crying even, and saying, "Please, gods of heaven, rid us of this evil man. He kills our men, he desecrates our women. See to it that he finds a brother, someone who's just as strong as he is." And one of the gods, it was a goddess, responded. She made a ball of clay and threw it on the ground. And where it touched the ground, there was a human. Well, can you call it a human? That's the question, because this human was hairy from top to bottom. And he was called Enkidu. Enkidu lived with the animals. He was like an animal himself. He grazed the grass. He walked with the gazelle. He drank with the gazelles in the pond, and they loved him for it. When there were trappers or hunters, he always knew to waylay them or to destroy the traps. That was his way. He was an lover of the animals. But of course, those trappers didn't like that as well. They looked at this strange creature and thought, "Is it an animal? I don't think so. I think it's a man. We should bring him into the bosom of civilization. We will tame him." And that's what happened. They tamed Enkidu with a cunning plan. And they went to Erech, the city-state, and asked the priestess of the temple of Ishtar, "Bring us a Hauri, one who knows how to make love." And, well, I think the rest will follow. And the rest did follow. They found the priestess Shamkhat. And Shamkhat knew ways of loving, knew ways of copulating that nobody ever heard of. So when she lay down next to the pond where he used to drink with his fellow gazelles, and she lay bare her breasts, she lay bare her thighs, Enkidu saw it. Enkidu knew just what to do. His instincts took over, and she received him with all that she had and gave him sweet loving. Not just for a couple of hours. No, this beast man was ferocious. He just kept on going at it for 6 days and 7 nights. Well, that he didn't have the company of animals was a bit... he didn't like that, but well, he had now this Hauri, this temple priestess. After the 7th night, he stood up, yawned. That was good. I think I'm gonna see my fellow gazelle. You don't mind, huh? And he went to the deer and to the animals, but they were afraid of him. He didn't understand. "Why are you running away? I'm your brother." But the animals knew that from now on he was human. And sadly he went back to Shamgat and said, "What should I do?" "Well, come with us. Come to the city-state. I know one who is almost exactly like you are." That made Enkidu curious. And on their way to Erech, she told about this Gilgamesh, this creature which was part god, part man, and how he had earned the right of sleeping with every girl or woman who was about to get married. And that made Enkidu very mad. "That's not justice. Some other man laying with your woman and she has to accede? Well, I'm gonna put a stop to it." And when he entered the state of Erech, he went straight to the palace. Gilgamesh saw this wild beast of a man coming and that was curious. "Hey, I want to meet this man. I might like to wrestle with this man." And so they met on the streets. And they came towards each other, one as furious as the other, knowing what they wanted. Fight! Fight and win for the right of the women to sleep with or not. So they jumped at each other, they throttled each other, they tore at each other's throat. And before you know it, Enkidu, with his animal strength, took Gilgamesh and threw him on the ground. This was the first time in history that Gilgamesh got a thrashing himself. He shook off the dust completely. What happened there? Well, this will be the first time, but there won't be a next time. Again, he tried to throttle this creature from nature, this Enkidu, and grabbed him by the shoulders, grabbed him by the waist. And this time civilization won, because he had some good tricks on him, and before Enkidu knew it, he was put on the ground as well. And now Enkidu smiled. Gilgamesh smiled. They looked at each other and said, "We are brothers. Come, come, I'll hoist you up. Let's not fight anymore. Let's feast. We deserve it." And thus it went. They became blood brothers, the best friends ever. Well, for months they partied, they saw women, fought men, but that wasn't enough. Because Gilgamesh said, "We have to do something more. We have to make a name of ourselves. We want to be famous for eternity." "How shall we do that, my brother? How will we become famous?" "Ah, fierce battle will make you famous, and we want to get rid of some monster. Let's get rid of Humbaba." "Humbaba?" "Yes, Humbaba, Humbaba. It's the protector of the forests, the mighty cedar forests, which will make us a palace, which will make us a temple. But now it's protected, so we gotta get rid of him." "I'm your man. We will go to those forests." And thus they went. They left the city-state and went into wild nature, the place where Enkidu used to be. But while sleeping in nature, he felt awkward. Anxiety crushed over him. He had bad dreams in the night, and he told Gilgamesh, "Are you sure? I've dreamt about this Humbaba creature. He has a fiery breath. He has the might of a storm. He has more than 7 monster helpers. I got a bad feeling about this." But Gilgamesh said to him, "Don't be afraid. You can't get famous when you do not have some anxiety in you. You have to face the danger." "I think you're right, but can't we just ask for some more help?" Well, Gilgamesh thought, might be a good idea. So he sent a prayer up to heaven. And the god of the sun, Shamash, responded, "Yes, my son, I will give you some help." And he sent the winds to Enkidu and Gilgamesh to help them to conquer this wild monster of the forests. And it didn't take long before they were at the heart of the cedar forests. Gilgamesh took his axe and chopped one of those big trees down. That was enough. They heard the rumble. They heard the roar. A mighty cry broke out. Every bird, every beast flew away, and there was this monster. But now they weren't afraid. They knew what they had to do, and they asked the winds, "Go to it. Get that guy." And that worked. The winds took his arms, took his legs, and when they charged, he couldn't move. Chumbaba was powerless. They could thrust their spears in him. They could chop him to little pieces. And that with the help of the mighty winds. And before you know it, Chumbaba was destroyed, lay there on the ground. And a shudder went through that forest, because every tree knew that now they had lost their protector and they were helpless. They could be used for palaces and temples to build, for building material. Well, you can imagine when they came back in the city-state, they were hoisted on shoulders, they were feasted, they were said that there have never been bigger adventurers, bigger heroes than you. And even the goddess, Ishtar herself, went to Gilgamesh, stood before him and said, "Well, mighty hero, I saw you. I know what you're capable of, and I think you're also capable for a lot of love. I say, come into my arms, be my lover." And a normal person would never resist a goddess. She was the most beautiful creature on earth and in heaven. But Gilgamesh was different. He saw her and spurned her. "I won't lay with you. No way! I know what you did to your past lovers. Dumutsi, he's still going up and down to the underworld. Every half year he has to be in darkness and despair. I know of other kind of lovers you had. You turned one into a mole, another one in a jackal, and a third one in a hyena. No. I ain't falling for that trick. You go back to your heavenly realm. I stay here in my city-state." And she became furious. You wouldn't like to see in her eyes, they were glowing red, and said, "Well, I might not fight myself, but I will give you a fight which you will remember. I will send the heavenly bellower, the bull of heaven, to you." And then she left. But they knew what would be coming. And of course, Enkidu was warned as well. Gilgamesh and Enkidu were ready for another battle. This bull of heaven came roaring out of the sky. It stampeded on the ground. Every time his cloven hoof reached the ground, earthquakes came there, big tearings on the ground, and people fell into the chasms. That was the might of the mighty bull. But they were prepared. The two heroes helped each other. On the one hand, you see Gilgamesh with his spear thrust forward. On the other hand, there was Enkidu, and he jumped this bull. He made a salto. He took him by the horns. But before the bull knew what was happened, he was jumping to the other end, took him by the tail, knew how to stop him. And the beast was thus petrified that Gilgamesh could reach him with his spear and thrust it into his heart. One last big roar, and the heavenly bull was dead. Again, triumphing over monsters. What else would a hero want? Now their heroism would resound until Judgment Day. This is great! And they thought they were great. But in the aftermath of that great glory, Enkidu became ill. It was just a flu, nothing more, some high fever. But the fever went up, and within a couple of days, he died. And Gilgamesh didn't understand it. For 6 days on end, he left the body on an altar and hoped for a revival. But worms gnawed him. He was putrefying and they had to put him underground. And after that, he was inconsolable and could only think of death. One day death will hunt me down as well. Even someone with 1/3 of humanity will have to die. What can I do? How can I reach real immortality? I know. Utnapishtim. He's the deathless one. He knows how to get immortal, and I will see him and he will tell me his secret. Well, you might not know, but Utnapishtim is the one who survived the deluge. There was a big flood, millions of people drowned, but he built himself a boat, an ark which held all the people and all the animals of the world. And he's rescued the animals and a lot of people. And he was regarded by the gods as someone holy, so they rewarded him with immortality. That's the person I want to see, and I know where he lives, on one of the islands beyond the mountain of doom. He went to this mountain of doom. On the entrance were scorpion men, men with scorpion tails and with scorpion eyes. They looked menacingly upon Gilgamesh, but then recognized his godliness, and he made pass and went into the mountain. It was dark, but it came darker still. It was thus dark that for 7 days on end he had to go forward in pitch dark. Then he reached the other end, saw a little of gloom, saw a new sun arise, and knew that he almost reached his destiny. He saw sunlight again, but also a very broad river. That was the river of death, which he also had to cross to come to the island of Utnapishtim. Well, of course there's a ferryman. Urshanabi, he was the farrier, and Gilgamesh asked, "Can you cross me over? I can pay. I'm a god and a king." You might be a god, you might be a king, but you're still living. I cannot cross you over. It's not my duty to cross a living person. Well, then I'll cross myself over. He killed this ferryman. He chopped down 120 trees, made poles of them, went into the boat and poled himself across the large river, the broad river, and every pole he pulled himself with, he let go to take another one because he could not touch the water because it would be his death. And he reached the other side. It was a wonder. It was something which only someone like Gilgamesh, a real hero, could reach. And there he met his family, Utnapishtim and his wife and his children, and he bowed deep. O deathless one, I'm in desperation for immortality. I'm almost a god and still I can be dying within days. What can you do for me? I've traveled a long way to ask for your help. You want to reach immortality? Well, I think you can't even remain without sleep for 7 days. So try that before you ask me something about immortality. Try to go without sleep. Well, Gilgamesh was taken aback. Of course I can go without sleep. I won't sleep and you will see it. But he was so exhausted from the large journey that within a couple of hours his eyes fell and he drowsed and snored a complete day. And when they woke him up, just a little nap, this didn't count. You were gone for a day. You're not fit for immortality. But well, I can give you a little consolation. On the bottom of this pond you will find a herb, a prickly herb, which when you eat it will give you your youth back. That didn't sound so bad either. Okay, this could console me. He jumped into the pond, found the herb and took it home. Again he had to enter that large mountain, 7 days in pitch darkness. I had to go across the scorpion men. And when he did that, he was among the living again. And of course, he had to rest from this large journey. And next to a little river, he went and had just a little nap. Had this herb next to him. Nothing the matter, you would say. But a snake crawled and slithered nearer Gilgamesh and saw that herb, took it in his snout, ate from it, and stole thereby this fountain of youth. Well, this is also the reason why a snake still sheds its skin. And after it has shed its skin, you know, it's like a young snake again. But when Gilgamesh woke up, he was devastated. Not even youth, not even youth, no immortality for me. What is there left for me? Kingship was there for him. He went back to Erech, was a good and just ruler, and lived to a ripe age until he died. And that was the way for every flesh. So long live King and God Gilgamesh! Thank you.